Maybe next. Okay. I'm just trying my phone because I know how to use it.
1 second, gentlemen. Okay, let's get started one way or the other, at least for us. We're on Shaar Beis, Parak A. Welcome back. I think we're getting into something very fundamental and yesodistic here, which is the Neshama. I'm going to learn about the Neshama. What is the Neshama? Anybody know already?
What's the password? So we don't go home. Password to Wi-Fi?
Degree 18.
What?
Degree 119.
The word degree.
So the Nefesh Hachaim says, Amnam lahavin ikare shel inyan ha-tosefes v'riboy bracha b'ha'olamos ha'yidei ma'aseh ha'adam. What we're trying to understand here is a loaded sentence, is tosefes v'riboy bracha b'ha'olamos ha'yidei ma'aseh ha'adam. How there can be advantages and riboy, expansion of bracha b'ha'olamos. Olamos is all the olamos, right? We live in the world of Asiya, but there's the world of Atzilus, Bria, Yitzira, Asiya, there's all kinds of stuff going on. So in all those worlds, man, particularly Jew, has a hashpa and can create a riboy in those olamos. Lahavin ikare shel inyan ha-tosefes v'riboy bracha b'ha'olamos ha'yidei ma'aseh adam u'mahus ha'inyan tzarich ha'olamos lezeh, and why it makes a difference what we're doing to the whole world. To put that in a very simple language that we can understand, somehow or another, what we do has a kesher to the entire universe and in the entire spiritual universe also. Everything we do, everything we think, achshava, dibur, maisa, everything we say, somehow or another affects the entire world. What does it mean to affect the entire world? It means to say that, again, in simple language, that whether there are winds of war in the world or whether there's peace in the world, whether there's galus, whether there's geula, whether there's health, whether there's illness, all of these are certain things that are going on in the world that's all controlled in a very, very spiritual way by the person, Maaseh Ha'adam, by a person. So we have to understand our purpose here is to be able, HaKadosh Baruch Hu created us to be able to be mashpia on all of the olamos el yonim, including the one we live in. We make a difference. V'hinei Chazal Amru, and I want to look at he doesn't bring the whole Gemara, so let's just learn the whole very famous Gemara. The Gemara says, Brachas Daf Yud, Gemara says as follows: Hani chamishe barchi nafshe keneged mi amaran David. David in the barchi nafshi that we say on Rosh Chodesh, in the barchi nafshi mizmor, he says barchi nafshi 5 times. Barchi nafshi es Hashem. So let's get simple chat. What does barchi nafshi mean? What does the words mean? Barchi nafshi. Somebody? Barchi nafshi.
Bless Hashem. May my soul bless Hashem.
May my soul bless Hashem. Barchi nafshi. Yeah?
Command.
What is it? A command?
No, saying to his soul, it should bless Hashem. So it's nefesh.
He's talking to his nefesh. Barchi nafshi es Hashem. I don't know this word barchi. I don't think it comes up anywhere else in the Torah. Does it? Huh? Yeah. You ever hear the word barchi? Baruch yes Hashem Baruch. Baruch nafshi. So he says it 5 times. Baruch nafshi es Hashem, Baruch nafshi es Hashem, David Amal. So Lay Amran El Keneged HaKadosh Baruch Hu Keneged Neshama. Baruch nafshi es Hashem. Somehow a connection between my nefesh, which is, he's saying, the Gemara is saying, is my neshama and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Like a connector, like this thing here. Like, in other words, lahavdil. Like, there's something that connects to the higher, whatever's going on in this room here. So there's the neshama is a connector to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, and there's 5 comparisons between the neshama and HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I went through this Gemara many times and I never stopped to think about it, so I just want to stop to think about it for a second. There was the David HaMelech and the Gemara here is comparing our neshama to Hashem.
Isn't it the Nefesh Hachaim?
Keneged, I'm reading the Gemara. Keneged HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Keneged HaNeshama. Nefesh can mean a lot of things. In this case, the Gemara says it means the neshama.
The 5 parts of the neshama?
No. 5 comparisons between the neshama and Hashem. Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Here they go. The Nefesh Hachaim just brings 1 or 2 of them. Here's the Gemara. Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu Molei Kol Ha'olam. Hashem is everywhere. Af Neshama Malaya Kol Haguf. You see, you said a minute ago, my neshama blesses Hashem. So somehow that's Hashem, and this is my neshama. Lav dafka. This is my neshama. This is my neshama. Malaya Kol Haguf. It fills the entire goof. Ma Kodesh Baruch Hu Roya ve'enoi nira. Kodesh Baruch Hu can see, but he cannot be seen. You can see the acts of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, but you can't see Hashem. Af neshama roya ve'enoi niris. Neshama can see, but it can't be seen. Can't see a neshama. Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu zona es kol ha'olam kuloi. Af neshama zona es kol haguf. HaKadosh Baruch Hu gives sustenance to the entire world, so the neshama gives sustenance to the guf. Ma HaKadosh Baruch Hu tahar, af neshama tahira. So we say, Elikai neshama shenasato bi tahirahi. Ata varasa, bria, ata yitzarta, yitzira, ata nafachta bi. But the thing with that little tefillah is that people say like it's an existential question, you know, like I am my neshama. You know, what's the real you? My neshama is the real you. So it's wrong, because Elikai neshama shenasato bi, mashma, that there's a bi before there's a neshama. Important. So what's the B, and what is the added value of the neshama that changes the B into something else? Kilu, I mean, if I'm to understand this correctly, Kilu, there can be a person without a neshama. I don't think there could be a world without Hashem. It's not something anybody can think about. It's not possible to think about. But there can be a Elikai neshama shenasato bi tahiri. So what is that? Just to understand it, like the Gemara says that Rishoyim b'chayehem nikroim mesim. So a Rasha is a mace even while he's alive. And Tzaddik is a chai even after he's dead. So this is something which is not true, right? I mean, what do you mean a Rasha is a mace when he's alive? He's walking, he's talking, he's doing business, he's killing people, he's making money, doing all kinds of things. What makes him dead? He's alive. He gets up. He goes to the gym. He's running marathons, but he's a Rasha. And the Gemara says on him, Rishayim afilu b'chayeim nikrayim mesim. So says the Marsha. There's no other pshat in this. Of course, he's alive. The bee is alive, but the neshama shabai is not alive. A person can come into a situation where they don't have to kill the neshama, but they completely separate the neshama from their goof. And Babela, in that regard, he's considered a base. Can be considered a base.
Dead man walking.
The Walking Dead.
Dead man walking. That's what they say about somebody going to the electric chair. Dead man walking.
Right. But a tavra tava. He's gone. Yeah. I'm presuming he's a Russia. He's going to the electric chair.
Dead man walking.
Yeah.
Isn't a figure of speech that we say, like, you know, the Shekhinah came down and filled in a certain place, right? So that place existed already, right? But the Shekhinah comes down, but the Iker is the Shekhinah, even though it's coming to a place.
Okay.
So I can say, you know, my Neshama came into me, I'm identifying with me, even though the Neshama is the real me. That's a figure of speech because that's what we're identifying with from day to day. We're more in touch with the goof than the Neshama.
Okay.
So that's me.
The thing is like this. Here's what I think, and this is my introduction to Perek Hay. That let's assume for a moment, for our purposes, that an animal doesn't have a neshama, at least not the same kind of a neshama as a person. A Yiddish neshama, even a different type of a neshama. So we have to assume that whatever an animal can do doesn't require a neshama. Follow me on this one. It's my logic. Meaning, people say that the neshama is, if you have a neshama, you don't have a neshama, Yitzias ha-neshama, that's the difference between whether you're alive or whether you're dead. If I'm alive, I have a neshama. If I'm dead, I don't have a neshama. I don't think this is true. I think that being alive and not being alive or being dead is a function of the nefesh. Nefesh, ruach, neshama. There's the catch-all word, as Chaim says, which is nefesh. The whole thing is called nefesh. But if you want to get technical about it, which is what we're doing here, getting technical about it. So nefesh, ruach, neshama, alive, dead, nefesh. If that's what we mean by alive. Rishoyim b'chayim nikroyim mesim, even though the nefesh is working fine. So it's not about alive or dead. That's not what the neshama is. Animals are alive, kill it, animals are dead. That's possible, it's running, it's doing everything but talking. It maybe, you know, it's surviving, it's hunting, it's doing everything. No neshama. So all those things that an animal could do are not yet the definition of our neshama. So people would say, well, it's the ability to have emotion. So emotion, like I can feel, I can hurt, I can have hana, pleasure, etc. Maybe that's the neshama. We're looking for the neshama.
Animals also have emotion.
Animals have emotion.
Consciousness.
You're getting too fancy for it. But that's ruach. That's ruach. Animals can feel. Animals can, you know, everybody's seen a puppy look lost and look sad. Everyone has seen the animals in Bet Shemesh have pleasure. This is animal. This is still the nefesh, habahamis, and so everything that we consider to be alive is not yet. It seems to me is not yet the neshama. So if we're going by the process of elimination. What is left? That's the neshama. See, it's a very interesting thing. Let's say a person does mitzvahs and learns and does all the things you're supposed to do, chesed, tzedakah. It's still not the neshama, because you have to ask, why am I doing those things? You know, if a person is living in a area where you know, like living in a neighborhood and in a culture where everything has to do with wealth. Thank God that's not the culture here, but let's say everything has to do with wealth. So automatically you're going to want to do things to make you wealthy. If you're living in a culture where everything is all about physical fitness, automatically that's the culture of the place you're going to try. So if you're living in a culture like here, Baruch Hashem, like where everything has to do with who's a bigger lamdan, who's a bigger gadol b'Torah, who does more mitzvahs, who does more chesed. So automatically, you're going to want to become wealthy in Torah and mitzvahs. It's not the neshama. I'm sorry to be so harsh here, but that's not the neshama. That's chavrati. It's just precious. So the Gra says a word like this. He says that neshama is the ability to do something lishma. An animal can't do something lishma. An animal's hunting for food, not because it's a mitzvah to hunt for food. An animal's hunting for food because an animal is hungry. And an animal is performing, it's not performing because chosh v'zach, I want to perform. Right. Animal's performing because he's being trained to perform, and he wants to please something or another. Either himself, he's rewarded with some kind of a reward at the end, or if it's a sophisticated animal, he's pleasing his master. Yeah, I heard this from my Rabbi Rav Chaim. He says, think about a horse and he who rides on the horse. So a horse is a horse, of course. Whether it has somebody riding on it or whether it doesn't have somebody riding on it, a horse is a horse. It could be a beautiful horse. It could be a good horse. But when it doesn't have somebody, what does the rider add? What does this rider add to the horse? It rides the idea of, okay, now there's some esoteric things going on here, ethereal. We have a goal. We need to. Let's say it's a horse which is used for war. So, the horse has the inability to decide whether it wants to be on the side of North Korea or South Korea. A horse is a horse. But all those decisions of the deep decisions of what to do with this horse, those are made by the rider. They're not made by the horse itself. No horse is saying, "I'm a Democrat, I'm a Republican." It's not horses can't, animals, but so like in a mashal, the neshama, it rides on the goof. And you find this mashal, by the way, in one form or another all over Chazal. The neshama is riding on the goof, so the goof that's alive, the goof that's healthy, the body that's it doesn't necessarily have a goal that it wants to get to. It's not doing something for the purpose of doing something. Now, the only thing, so the guide says like this, I just read the Gra, reread this morning, we learned the Gra this morning. The Gra says in Koheles as follows, Ma Yisrael Tachas HaShemesh. Is that the pasuk? Yisrael or Yitaron? Ma Yisrael La'adam Tachas HaShemesh. Meaning, what does the pasuk mean? What does Shlomo Melech mean? That whatever you do in this world, so what is it? You'll say you make $250 million, so you can't take it with you. You'll be, solid rock. So what? You're going to die also. So maybe you do something for longevity, so instead of dying at 90, die at 92. But by Yisrael Adam Tachas HaShemesh. So the guide says that Tachas HaShemesh, there is no Yisrael to a person, but L'mala Min HaShemesh, there is. And I brought the Gra, let me read it to you. My Yisrael Adam B'chol Amolai. Okay, let's get the pasuk right. B'chol Amolai Shiamol Tachas HaShemesh. It's Lashon the Gra in Barak HaShachar, which is the Gra on Koheles. Amru Tachas HaShemesh Ein Loi. L'mala Min HaShemesh Yesh Loi. He does have a benefit. V'hu k'mo shekasav ad shloi techshach HaShemesh zu haNeshama she me'ira la'adam b'chachma. Because of Yisrael L'chachma min Asichus ki Yisrael Or min Achayshim. V'zeh she'amar Tachas HaShemesh Tachas HaNeshama Shem Nefesh V'Ruach She'en Tachtav Ki Yadua. Meaning, he's saying the Shemesh is the Neshama. So you have Neshama, Nefesh, Ruach, Neshama. There's nothing you can do for your nefesh or for your ruach which is going to really matter for eternity. Nothing you can do. You'll get healthy, you'll get rich, you'll be happy, you'll be sad. It doesn't make any difference. On an eternal level, it's all about how you feel right now, how you feel until you die. Even things as beautiful as like love and feeling of accomplishment and all of those things are all not the neshama. Love. Love, like that's already like as high as that's all tachas hashemesh. Va'yisur l'adam tachas hashemesh. So 1,000 years ago, George loved Betsy. Asma. There's nothing eternal. They're both rotting in their graves. There's nothing. Doesn't make any difference. That doesn't have anything eternal about it. Maybe some of it is eternal towards the children, towards the generations that come from it, but not to himself. It's not. Shekol abol sha'abol bahel ein Yisrael. Listen to this. The Gra. Afilu ba'abol Torah o mitzvahs. Even Torah, even mitzvahs, sha'isa behem einoi klum. It doesn't really mean anything. Said Shlomo HaMelech. Re'isi anias kol abol ves kol kisher na'maisik hi kidas ish mir'eo gam zehev o arus ruach. Unless, says the Gra, ela la'isayim lo'is, except unless lo'isim l'shma. Unless you do it l'shma. So the lishma, person does something lishma, it puts one into a different realm, and all of a sudden there's eternity to what I'm doing. So again, what I'm saying is, if you're doing something because that's what the chevra is doing, so then it stops here. You have the ceiling, and that's as far as it goes. It's tachas hashemesh. If you do something lishma, then you've created an eternity, and it has a value which is lamala bin hashemesh, by using the neshama. V'chol ha'isek b'Torah shaloi l'shma noyach lo shaloi nifra. V'yadua sheyisrael ha'adam me'abehema. The only difference, and this is why I'm bringing you this gra, the only difference between a person and a behema, which by the way the whole world is struggling. In other words, if you look at it from a biological point of view, you have squirrels, you have birds, you have lions, tigers, bears, people. A more sophisticated bria has a bigger brain. That's all. A bigger brain. We have bigger brains, physically bigger brains. So that's no. You could have an animal that has, an ape. An ape is almost a person. No. Yisrael ha'adam, says the Gra me'abehema bin neshama levad. The only difference between a person and a behema is the neshama. Mima'maloi ben nefesh v'ruach, and if your whole life is all based around nefesh v'ruach, hu daima lebehema. So you see, let's say a few things. Let's just do a quick summary here because I think it's an important gra. I don't know if it's something we know. I don't know if we think about. Number one, and we're defining in the negative in a way. The whole difference between a person and an animal is that a person has a neshama, an animal does not. It's a difference, like I say, between a horse alone and a horse with a rider. A horse alone is better than a car because it's alive, but where's it going? Whose side is it on? It's not clear. That our work is, in fact, with the nefesh and with the ruach, but the idea is to bring it to a higher place. Everything that we do could be at a higher place, which is the place of ruach, of neshama. That nothing, this is what the Gra just said, I'm just reviewing the Gra, that there's nothing left from anything that we do unless we've done it with our neshama, because everything else just gets buried. And finally, if a person wants to test themselves and figure out if they're doing it, I'm doing something, right? I'm giving a shiur now. We came to davening this morning. You do a chesed. You're a nice person. You smile at a person. You're makabel adam sever panim yafos. If you want to know, are you using your neshama or are you using your ruach? like, the only way to know is if, the only way to test that is to find out, says the Gra, if you're doing it lishma or not.
This fits with, I guess, the house of the Gra in Mishlei, where the ikar of the Adam is to be taking midos. Because by definition, if you're changing something, that means you're going with your neshama. Because if you were to go with the flow, that is nefesh ruach. You're just following what you're following inertia, you're following the social norms, you're following.
You're surviving on a very sophisticated level.
Right, but once you're being attacking something, that means you're going to be against the flow. You're changing something.
Yeah,
So that by
could be.
definition is a neshama.
If you take masaking very, like in other words, a person, I just want to get this very clear in my own mind. In other words, a person will read some kind of a book, person, how to win friends and influence people. Who wrote that? Dale Carnegie, right? Dating myself. He's not doing a lishma. The title of the book is Shaloi Lishma. Right? The whole thing is like, I'll tell you what to do. The whole book is Shaloi Lishma, how to win friends and influence people, or let's say you want to, how to make a lot of money, how to be the envy, how to be a rock star, how to win friends and influence people, how to be successful. Okay, so all kinds of great gewaldige eitzes of, use a person's name a lot in conversation, talk about them, don't talk about you. They're all tricks of the nefesh and the ruach, of the nefesh and the ruach. It's sophisticated as it might be. It's not lishma. When you're talking about Tikkun Amidus, the title of the book would change to how to improve yourself even if you don't want to win friends and influence people. It's a whole different story. So the Goin says that the only way to know is like a siman, not a siba, but a siman. The only way to know if you're being mishtamish bin neshama and not with the ruach under it or the nefesh under it, is if you're willing to do it lishma, even if you get absolutely nothing out of it. It's hard to know because a lot of times even the lishma that we do is shalai lishma. Yeah. I mean, that hagufa is difficult to know. How do we know we're learning lishma? Let's say a person is like, you're teaching a child and you're not getting paid for it. So you're doing a lishma. Or you're doing it because you want people to say, look, he's learning with the child and he's not even getting paid for it. It's also shalei lishma. So it's very difficult. So lishma is a difficult thing. I'm not, by the way, I'm not a Baal Musar here. I'm not giving one, but I'm only saying that, as you go through the day, it's just something like here today. Let's just like that one day think about, like, what am I doing with my neshama and not just my nefesh ruach? What am I doing that an animal wouldn't do to survive if they knew how? So, the animal knows how to go into a cornfield and take corn. We know how to buy bitcoins and and do stuff, to make money. We also know how to lose money, it goes together. But that's all nefesh ruach. What are we doing with our neshama? What are we doing with the neshama? So the neshama is like this rider on the goof. And what I want to bring out more than anything else is that we shouldn't confuse the nefesh, ruach, and neshama, because I think everybody does. So what happens to a Rasha, let's just go over this one more time, a Rasha that completely is indulging his nefesh and his ruach and really is not looking at his neshama at all. So he's Nikrai Mason, that's the pshat in the Gemara. He's called a mace. He's a mace in the sense, in a spiritual death. He's a mace in the sense that his neshama is, I might not be dead, but it's not with him. He had Yitzias HaNeshama.
There's no driver on the horse.
There's no driver on his horse. Most people are not Rishoyim, but they're not Tzaddikim either. So what that means is that we just don't know. Let's put all of us. I put myself anyways in the category not Rishoyim, but like Beinanim, like. Okay, I want to do the right thing, but the problem is it's very complicated and difficult to get in touch with the neshama. So if you're a Rasha, you completely divorced your neshama from the whole game here, from all of life. If you're a tzaddik, you don't even need life because your neshama is eternal and it keeps on going. Ma Yisrael Adam v'chol ha'maloi tachas hashemesh v'lamala min hashemesh. When you're getting hashemesh means teva, right? When you're in this world, lamala min hashemesh goes over and over, goes on and on and on. Still chayim. So tzaddikim afilu b'misosim nikrayim chayim. But for us, the issue is not that we've killed our neshama or something. The issue is that we're probably not in touch with the neshama, and this is where the Goin says that the only way to know whether you're in touch with your neshama or not, assuming that we're okay with our neshama is there, but the only way is to know is to figure out whether we're doing something lishma or we're not doing something lishma.
So far, though, everything that's above what an animal will do, an Adam can do. It's not just to say the Shema sounds like a bigger jump than what's different from an animal. A goy can do all.
I mean, there's places in between.
Yeah, it sounds like I'm saying, we're defining the point where an animal can't do something. Now we're above at the point of neshama. So Bnei Adam can all do that, right? And I understand why we have to go to such a level of lishma.
In order to find out whether it's our neshama or not?
Yeah.
How else would you know? It's your neshama.
Well, we're saying there's a differentiation even within above what an animal can do.
I'm just like a person, like we have a expression, be miskaber on yourself. So who's being miskaber on what, where? I am myself. If I decide to be mitkaber, go against your grain, that's me, right? So no, neshama shenasat to be. In other words, this is something, I don't think that a horse is miskaber on itself. Like, I'm going to do it anyway. I don't think so. Miskaber on herself and then tap into kochos, which are l'mala min hateva. This is a neshama thing to do. So I'm agreeing with you, but a conscious. I don't think a horse has a conscious. Like if I'm whenever a person, a sensitive person who still has their neshama, whenever you do something which is not MS, so your conscience bothers you afterwards. It's not MS. Whether you lied, whether you stealed, whether you just did something which was not integrity, which wasn't wholesome. Well, you did something which wasn't MS. So that's we have a conscience. Does an animal have a conscience? Did something wrong? It feels bad. I don't know. It's hard to know. I'm not an animal psychologist, but it's. I think what a matspun is, at least lefi Chazal, what a conscience is that my nefesh and my ruach just violated my neshama. You know, just clashed. My nefesh and my ruach just clashed with my neshama. So this is so I feel bad. I could do tshuva. Can an animal do tshuva? But the reason why I'm saying that the neshama is anything that an animal plus is because that's the defining. You take Gan Eden, like Hashem created before he even created Adam. It created animals and trees, and everything was running around Gan Eden. But you don't find by any of those bruim by Yipach Ba'apav Nishmas Chaim. So there were kangaroos jumping around in Gan Eden, maybe, but they didn't have a neshama. Yipach ba'apav nishmas chaim. That was only Adam had a neshama.
Could you say, I heard it saying before, right? The ability to say no. If an animal does things by instinct, it needs something, it'll do it. You can't say no. Whereas a human, someone can say
Sounds good, but I have to think if that's. Sometimes the ability to say yes,
okay, but you have
looking for $100,000 for our building here.
This is bechir.
So let's say it like this: Bechira Chavshis is a function of the neshama. See, let me explain to you why this is so complicated. It's complicated because of this Gemara. The Gemara says, "Ma Kodesh Baruch Hu Roya ve'eino nira Kach haneshama roya ve'enoi nira. It means you can't see this neshama. Not only it won't show up on an X-ray, but it's very difficult to find. Ma kodesh baruch hu yoshev b'chedrei chadarim, whatever that means. Af haneshama yosheves b'chedrei chadarim, the Gemara says. So the very nature of the neshama is that it's invisible. At the same time, Ma kodesh baruch hu malei kol ha'olam kulai, af haneshama malei kol ha'olam kulai. So here's an invisible force within us, completely invisible, something you can't put your finger on, and you can't go like this, and you can't go like this. But it's something which is leis machshava tfisa bei, but on the other hand, leis asar panui minei. In that sense, it's like HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So once it's leis asar panui minei, but we can't. So the differences between a person who's utilizing their neshama, connected to the neshama, not connected to the neshama, it's qualitatively it's a completely different type of person. A person who's hooked up to their neshama and hooked up to eternity, as we've been learning in the previous program over here, is hooked up to eternity. It's a completely different person. This is a person with a goal. This is a person who has bechira. This is a person who has a conscience. All the things that are human. So what did you ask, David? Let's go look at that again.
I was just saying that if we're defining it as something that point above what the nefesh and the ruach are, above an animal, so then there seems to be various levels within that. Lashma sounds already another level.
Like what? Give me one.
That a level of conscience, a level of
No, so that's just more.
Lashma.
That's true, but that's just more a bigger brain. In other words, that's more sophisticated than you could do it in a more sophisticated way than we could do business. An animal can't do business.
I'm actually, the reason why I'm asking this is more because of a goy. A bnei adam is somebody who has, it's
Some
not
kind
an
of
animal.
neshama, right.
Now, there's all kinds of bnei adam being bnei adam, but aren't lashma. So what are they? They're neshamas, but they're not lashma. So I'm just saying there seems to be a stira.
No, so they have a neshama, but they're not using their neshama. I'm saying they have a neshama.
But aren't they doing something?
Nefesh Hachaim, every human being l'chayru had a neshama blown into them. I think the Arizal says that somewhere around the Dora Mabel and the Dora Palaga, so they lost their neshama. But let's even say they have a neshama. I don't know, that's a chiddush. Let's even say they have a neshama, but that's not our point. Our point is, how do we know? Here's the thing: that on a day-to-day basis, we have a chiyuv to use our neshama. Every morning we wake up and we say, "Elikai, neshama shenasata bi tahiri, ata brasa, ata yitzarta, ata nafachta bi, ata meshamer b'kirbi, ata asalitlo mimani, lachzira bi la'asalavai." So then we say a tefillah, "Kol zman sha neshama b'kirbi, moidani lefanecha." I'm going to use my neshama, and that's our hakdama to tefillah. So it means to say this is like a big chiyuv, like you're saying. Like it's not good enough to wake up in the morning and say, I'm going to daven, I'm going to put on tefillin, I'm going to give tzedakah, I'm going to do chesed, I'm going to learn Torah. That's all fine. But the lishma, am I utilizing my neshama? New question. I saw that here's another growth. This comes to mind that when a person comes to Shemayim, so the first question I think that he's asked is nasata v'nasata, one with the sin, one with the soft, nasata v'nasata be'emuna. So the Gaon says one word, be'emuna zu neshama. Did you all day long? Did you utilize? You could be doing business all day long. It's not about doing Torah mitzvahs, everything. But did you do it lishma? So again, I'm saying a person is doing Torah mitzvahs, acting like a nice person. You're a societal animal. That's all. It's just doing it shalai lishma. It's very harsh, but in other words, if we're to be able to ask ourselves this question: are we doing everything that we're doing for societal reasons, for society pressure, or are we doing it because Hashem wants us to do it? Lishma. The only reason I'm doing it. What?
I'm just having trouble understanding this question.
Me too.
I'm having trouble internalizing it. It would mean that, like, if somebody wants to get up and go to Daf Yomi every morning, he's excited to do it. Right? Really mamish, like the alarm goes off and boom, he goes, right? Does that mean he's doing it with Shema because he's enjoying it?
Absolutely not.
That's what I'm saying. I don't think no. Or if he's laying there and he's like, I really don't want to do this. I don't feel like doing it. But he does it in other words, every day of his life he doesn't feel like doing it. But he's doing it because he says to himself intellectually, well, it's a mitzvah to go and do it every day, so I'm going to do it. He doesn't fall asleep. He goes and he does it. Right? but he doesn't really get a geschmack out of it.
I heard something so startling.
Is that really like
When
geschmack?
Rav Freifeld, all of a shalom, it was the Rosh Shiva, Rav Freifeld, Shar Yoshev. So when his Rebbetzin died, first Rebbetzin died, he was married twice. His first Rebbetzin died, and I happened to be when he spoke at her shloshim. And listen to what he said. I can only paraphrase. I can't remember exactly what he said. He was Adam Chashuv, you know. He said he realized after his wife died that he was laying in bed in the morning, needing to get up and go to davening, and he wasn't doing it. And he realized Lamafreya for the last 30, 40 years, really the only reason he was getting up is because it made his wife happy. Wow. So, you know, he says, I realized, I thought of Lishma, Baruch Hashem, everybody here would get up in the morning, go to davening, this and that. But the question is, like, what if really no one would notice? You know, what if you're really b'chedri chadarim? Do we get up and go to davening, or do we not? And what if it just doesn't even make me feel good? Like you say, Shmuel, like I'm excited, I'm this. So, like, Lishma is a very difficult thing. But I just want to say, I want to say one thing in closing, as time's up. Like, something occurred to me maybe in the last few weeks. There's a great question it's just such a simple thing. It took me 62 years to figure out. There's a great question we can ask ourselves multiple times a day, and that is why? 3 letters, W-H, why? Like it's so profound to stop. You know, I'm going to davening, to stop for 1 second and say to myself, you know, why? I'm giving tzedakah. Why? I'm doing business. Why? Now, first of all, you know, if you happen to stop to think as to why you're doing something, then the whole rote goes out of it, and you do it a lot better. Even if it's the wrong reason, you can do it a lot better. Like, why is like a really good question. But the other thing is that just like if you like, it's good for people in business, you know, to remind themselves every once in a while, like, why am I doing what I'm doing? And it gives meaning to the thing, and that becomes my mission statement instead of, you know, to make money. But so the why is like a really good. If I was a business coach, I would say, don't take me in that capacity. But if I was a business coach, I would tell people, ask yourselves multiple times a day, why? But then there's something so much deeper as a neshama to Yid, like why? I mean, and a very simple thing, just to ask yourself. What does it mean to ask yourself? This is my nefesh and my ruach asking, is my neshama involved? That's all that is. Is my neshama involved? Why? Am I doing this self kol self? And I think we'll be surprised by the answer. I think there's a lot more lishma than we realize in what we do, and there's a lot more shaloi lishma than we realize. Like as Rabbi Freifeld said, I'm sure he was lishma. He was just saying that. But you know, all of a sudden he's getting up lishma. All of a sudden he's getting up lishma. So
what if the decision at the beginning, the reason why you're doing it is because it's lishma, and then you go on autopilot. So each day you're doing it's because of the decision you made back then.
So maybe that's lishma. Maybe it's not the highest madrega of lishma though. Or is lishma is to, you know, so if you're like a makubal or a chassid, so you're before every mitzvah l'shem yichud kutchabrichu, you're reminding yourself as to all those fancy words are why. I started thinking about this because I was thinking about the sphere, so that's why I was thinking about it. Like, should we say l'shem yichud? Should we not say? Should I put it in my app? Should I not put it in my app? But what I realized is that I could just replace the whole thing by just putting in the word why. Just why, you know.
When Chazal tell us, it seems like they're giving us an eitzah to avoid trying to figure out if it's a Shema or not, because if we use Torah, then it's like an automatic stepping stone.
I mamish don't understand it that way. The way I understand that Gemara is, should I live in a place which is full of Torah and Yerushalayim, given extenuating circumstances. Normally, like, should I live in a place which is full of Torah, and the chevra is going to sort of push me, the culture is such that I'm going to go to Daf, and I'm going to go to Daf Yomi, I'm going to learn, or should I live in a place which is void of all that, and you'll sing. So the Gemara says in Eitzah, look, go for the Shaloi Lishma, go for the union of chevrati, because at least when you're there, you have a possibility of at some point having the epiphany of connecting with your neshama. Unto itself, by the way, it's just so important. I mean, there's a lot to say about this, but just so important to say this, that the Gemara says you should be osek b'Torah v'yer Torah u'mitzvos shaloi lishma for only one reason. Should be Torah shaloi lishma b'lishma mashma from the Gemara that there's no mila at all to a shaloi lishma. On the contrary, there's nothing. You've done nothing. You're a monkey. It's scary, no? Like, we don't want to be there. A person can go to davening every day. You can give tzedakah every day. You can do chesed every day. But if it's not with the neshama, it's nothing. The only reason to do it is b'tay shaloi lishma b'lishma. So we've decided in our minds, like, lishma, that's for big tzaddikim, and who's going to do things lishma? We'll do it shaloi lishma. It's a mistake, because if we're not going to become tzaddikim like that, if we're not going to go from shaloi lishma to b'lishma, then don't bother. I don't want to lower anybody's metric. I just want to raise it. But we need to understand, as mature adults learning Nefesh Hachaim, there's a level of sophistication here that there is no mila in shaloi lishma except that it's getting me in the mood. That's all. It's creating some kind of an external pressure on me, so that way I'll do the right thing eventually. But if you don't do the right thing eventually, then you've never done anything. Why, says the Gra? Because my Yisrael law the b'chol amalei tachas hashamesh. Because what did you do? All you did was indulge the nefesh and the ruach. You haven't done anything at all with the neshama. And the neshama is sof kol sof, the eternal part. L'malam min hashemesh. That's the eternal part. So what we want to do is we want to activate and connect with the eternal part of us, and that's the neshama. So this is just the introduction to Parak Hay, because Parak Hay is talking about the neshama and how to use it and what does it mean to be Mavarech es Hashem. But just a little bit of a glimpse into the neshama gufa.
Interesting.